had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it.
You and I saw with our own eyes and spread a web of lies, and the whole world saw with our own eyes.
This was a fraudulent election.
Lies,
fake news.
You and I saw with our own eyes. Lies,
fake news. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
But they failed. And this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never happens. They failed. Reaching the Capitol, American flags on poles being used as weapons.
We're gonna have somebody in there that should not be in there, and our country will be destroyed. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore.
They failed. He can't accept he lost. He lost. He's not just a former president. He's a defeated former president. You and I saw with our own eyes and spread a web of lies, and the whole world saw with our own eyes.
This was a fraudulent election.
Lies,
fake news.
You and I saw with our own eyes. Lies,
fake news. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
He can't accept he lost.
It was a landslide election.
Come on, man.
When you catch somebody in the fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules.
Is that what you thought? It's wrong. It's undemocratic. And frankly, it's un-American.
Just in a nutshell, so stupid these people.
Think about that. This wasn't a good course. This was an armed insurrection.
You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to be strong.
They failed. He can't accept he lost. He lost, literally erecting gallows to hang the Vice President of the United States. You and I saw with our own eyes and spread a web of lies, and the whole world saw with our own eyes.
This was a fraudulent election.
Lies,
fake news.
You and I saw with our own eyes. Lies,
fake news. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Now listen, if you have not subscribed to YouTube channel.
Do you think that General Patton was woke? I don't think so. What do you think, Mike? Mike, was he woke? I don't think so. I don't think he was too woke. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit. This is a sick culture, and our country's a disaster, and it's going to die before your very eyes. Women's soccer team was supposed to easily win, but they went woke. The one with the purple hair, she didn't play too well. She went woke. Take a look, everything goes bad, but it's true about woke. Do you think that General Patton was woke? It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit. Our country was so respected. Nobody was gonna mess with us. And then this clown, he got in office, sort of like the captain of a ship. Let's jump off first before the passengers. I'm getting the hell out of here. I could just see this. The leadership of the Taliban standing there. Somebody walking up. Sir, the soldiers have left. It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit. You know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. You gotta do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But you got, no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit.
Now listen, if you have not subscribed to YouTube channel, do it right now. Do it today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Crows of Judgment. Give me just 1 second. I totally mistimed these. Go. Completely mistimed that. We're gonna have fun tonight because typically I don't get into politics on the channel, but again, because YouTube is like, fuck you, Crow, we're never returning your monetization again. Well, we decided to switch things up. And again, I know this topic is like really, really touchy, but I feel that it's okay to be passionate about something. And I feel like, you know, it's really fucked up that you're allowed to feel one way about this. You're allowed to be outrageous, extreme, say horrific and horrendous shit. But if you say anything to the opposition, oh man, then they really go out to get you. And see, it's been that way for a really long time. And I feel like over time, there's been a lot of stress and pressure that's built up. And the thing is, you know, when it comes to the actual decision, you know, I see a lot of people, and they go, you know, Roe v. Wade is supported by the majority of Americans. And it's true. It is true, right? But the problem is, majority of Americans also don't really understand what is going on here, because when you actually get into what they support, it's literally 15 weeks, right? And even then, there are people that still want some restrictions, but the majority of people, 15 weeks. It's literally what, like, I think almost all of the European nations are 15 weeks. So it's not an extreme thing. Like, it's literally, I think it's like seriously just like first trimester. It's plenty of time. But you know, in Roe v. Wade, it talked about viability of the fetus, right? Well, we now have the technology where the viability of the fetus has extended out to a pretty long time, right? Like, you can, I think it's something like at 5 months now, right? It might even be more than that. So it really doesn't make any fucking sense that we would be allowing for abortions, you know, at 5 months. That absolutely does not make any sense. It's actually, it even spits in the face of Roe v. Wade, because that's not viability at all, right? But as time's gone on, we've extended it out to literally the Democrats. As soon as this opinion was leaked, they were trying to force through a bill that would allow for abortions essentially on demand. You know, the thing is, they even talk about the third trimester health of the mother, and I go, like, I understand, you know, but they specifically said, oh, mental health, and be super broad about it. And I'm like, oh my god, no. Like, absolutely not. But also, even in that situation, why would you abort a child, right? Like, if it's specifically a case where the mother is like, oh, you know, her life is at risk, but the fetus is perfectly viable, why the fuck would you okay aborting it? Like, that makes no sense. That doesn't make any sense. All accusing the opposition of being extreme. Actually, you know what? I think I had a tweet. I had a couple. Go back to my Twitter account, which I'm actually. Ugh. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we will. I'll read that because I think that was pretty cool. Okay, yeah. So, like, I see shit like this a lot, where they basically go that, oh, you know, all they care about is protecting the fetus, and then look at how they treat them when, like, the problem is, a CPC is a crisis pregnancy center. So basically, as soon as the opinion was out, leading up essentially to the actual verdict dropping, they've been firebombing crisis pregnancy centers. And a crisis pregnancy center is where a mother can go to if, you know, she needs aid, right? And they assist the mother both financially and with like community service, like, you know, like babysitting. They do all of that, right? And obviously they don't want you to get an abortion, so they're giving you, you know, like the financial help and assistance for you and the child, right? And so the left it gets so pissed off about that they go out and they fucking firebomb them. You can't say that, like, oh, they don't even care about, like, it's not true. It's not true. Like, the entire argument, like, every fucking argument that gets made about this shit essentially assumes that the other side are A, hypocritical, evil, what was that fucking dumbass term that kid used? Christo-fascist. I'm like, look, there is definitely a religious aspect to a lot of what you'll hear from pro-life people, but not all. Like, certainly not all. Like, for me, yeah, look, if you go Old Testament's a little bit different from New Testament, just to be clear. But yeah, well, value of life is kind of when you're supposed to protect. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, Old Testament's a little bit more darker. So, it's not that. I mean, it's just, you have these people calling to abort perfectly viable fetus. You have way too many people openly talking about how they use it as contraception, and openly stating things like, you know, oh, mothers won't have the financial aid that's going to ruin their life, but then they go and attack crisis pregnancy centers where, you know, mothers are provided with financial aid. It's inconsistent on every fucking level, but they don't care. Like, and you know, it's even worse about all of this. They act as if now it's banned in the entire country. And it's not. It is up to the states. But what about the girl in the red state? Okay, shut the fuck up. It's up to the state. You can move to a different state. Like, how many employers basically came out and said that they were willing to pay for travel expenses to leave the state? And, you know, they don't actually care about any of this shit. It's just, like, cheaper than you going on fucking maternity leave. It's actually ridiculous. Really put it all into context. But yeah, no, I was like, you know, they ignore the fact that they've been attacking these price pricing centers. In fact, you know, like the group that was calling for all of that shit, right? Like, they got named at the White House when someone asked the press secretary. But like, the FBI hasn't caught them, even though they did this shit for a month. Like, man, it just seems to me like, I don't know, man. Something just seems off to me with all this shit. But this here is just, fuck you. Like, honestly, fuck you and everything. Yeah, Old Testament is fucking violent. Yeah. Oh, my Pokemon. I don't mind. In fact, I do need to. I need to basically get my entire team to 4. And since you mentioned it, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, but like, in all seriousness. I have a few. But before we talk about any more of the abortion stuff, I did want to bring this up. So for those of you who are messaging. Okay. So yeah, there was this whole truce that got started because you know, the YouTubers had to protect their business and go back to being all friendly, derpy with each other. And I guess Diorio, now that he's done with content, is basically done with it. He's breaking the truce. And it sounds like he dipped out on the fucking it really sounds like he dipped out on going to VidCon because he didn't want to see technicals. Which, I don't know, man. Like, I get it. I understand, like, why you wouldn't, but, man, that's a bitch move. It really is. I think it's, if he denies it now, like, would anyone really believe? I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. I'm like, bro, it really feels like you just kind of, like, sort of made a clown out of yourself. And if I were you, like, I wouldn't. It's a little embarrassing when you really like put it into context now. Okay, so I just thought that was fun. Now, I want to play this video. It's from Project Veritas. It just came out, but let's talk about stuff. I don't know how long we'll be on stream tonight. I got to be careful about being too offensive. I don't want to be banned, so I can't like really. I can't really belittle anybody. So I'll only talk about certain things. So this person over here, basically, I guess they went to the Supreme Court pro-abortion protest, I would say. Yesterday at Supreme Court, a pro-abortion woman yelled, "What if you get pregnant from rape?" in my face. I explained I did in fact experience exactly that, and I love my baby immensely. Her response, "That's disgusting. There's something wrong with you." Yeah, so like, I want to just see if they've got the video. Doesn't seem like it. Said he had the video, but he didn't post it, so. Well, we'll see. Or it could be a part of this shit. I don't want to like sit through some random stuff. Nope. But yeah, anyways. So I was like looking at this and I'm going, you know, there's a ton of times where you see like a lot of people trying to use the what if, and I'll literally tell women that are I'm not going to use pro-life, pro-choice. It's pro-abortion, anti-abortion. That's it. That's all it is. That's it. Neither side is 100% always for life, because there's a lot of, you know, pro or anti-abortion people that are completely for the death penalty. So it's not about a life argument for everything. And as far as like the choice shit, it's not that either, because all the pro-choice people are like, for the most part, you know, the super supporters. They were also in line with the government mandates on vaccine, right? I know that there are like actual libertarians that are against the vaccine mandates and fully support abortions. I understand that. But the majority of the quote-unquote pro-choice people were fully in support of forcing the vaccines. And look, I take no side on it other than just pointing out what is happening. Sorry. I take the side of get vaccinated. I got the vaccine. I'm a type 1 diabetic and I smoke. So, I mean, probably a bad idea. If I get sick is what my wife. So, my point is, you know, there were people, whether or not you agree with the argument, because not everybody agrees with their arguments for why they need abortion. So, whether or not you agree with the argument, if you are really about, you know, your body, your choice, your decision, then all of those, you know, crazy anti-vax people, literally, it applies to them too. But they don't actually feel that way. This is something entirely unique. It's I can't stand that. Yeah, this whole thing where we talk like right to privacy. I mean, I get it. I really do. But if a right to privacy actually existed within the Constitution, the government would have a lot harder time literally spying on you than they do, because there is no right to privacy actually stated in the Constitution. It's something that was interpreted by the Supreme Court. In fact, the Supreme Court is like worked as a de facto legislature, because when Democrats couldn't, like, and Republicans, you know, both sides on this shit, when they can't pass something, you know, in Congress because, you know, too much deadlock, a lawsuit will go through the Supreme Court, and you'll see like the Supreme Court issue out a ruling, and depending on how many justices are appointed by which person from which party, the ruling will basically make a new law for the land, when the Supreme Court is only supposed to be there in. So Democrats more than Republicans, because, you know, the thing is, you have the uniparty people, right? And the uniparty people are on both sides of this shit, right? Because you have uniparty Republicans 100%, the quote-unquote rhinos and all that crap. But, like, there are more people on the right side, because you also have, like, libertarians that tend to fall in line with that group, too. One second, I gotta take care of my dog. Sorry about that, guys. Where was I? Oh man, I was on a bit of a roll. I got to like totally turn off track. Yeah, okay, so like uniparty and everything. Like you have the establishment, right? And the establishment are the people that live in politics, and they exist there forever, like, you know, Pelosi, like the McConnell guy. Not important, but you have more people, right, that for the most part, they view the Constitution as it was written at the time, right? What the founding fathers intended. Whereas when it comes to people on the left, I mean, it's pretty weird, because it's a little bit of a mixed bag of things. You have some that like really do respect the text of the Constitution. However, they also believe it's like open to interpretation. You have other people on the left that really just say kind of like fuck it, and they kind of openly reinterpret shit in there. And then you have another group that says fuck the Constitution. It was written 200 years ago by people that believed that they should have slaves. Why the fuck should we follow it at all? And they just always kind of like really enjoy it when the Supreme Court sort of just issues new laws for the land. You know, the worst one, in terms of this should really have been done by Congress, and it's really fucked up that it wasn't, and the fact that SCOTUS did it instead. Now you have people fearing that's going to go away, and that'd be gay marriage, right? Gay marriage continuously failed every single time they tried to pass it. It failed in California, which, you know, I was living in California at the time. I voted for it, right? Because I'm like, whatever, right? But like, it failed. Like, it failed really badly. Or not really, but like, it was shocking. But see, like, Democrats could not get it passed. They could not convince people to okay it, right? Not the majority, not at the time. So Instead, it got challenged in a lawsuit, and the Supreme Court basically decided for the entire nation. Now, yes, at the end of the day, you can say that that is a positive decision. I'm not going to disagree with you, only to say that because it wasn't, put into law, right? The Supreme Court can reverse their decisions. It's happened so many fucking times throughout history. Like, they're all freaking out because Roe v. Wade got overturned. I'm like, that happens all the time. And when it happens, it's honestly usually like a landmark thing. There's been plenty of things that have happened that way. So the fact that you don't protect it, you don't have Congress pass a law, right? You don't have them try to work with the other party. You don't have them doing anything, right? There's just disagreement, bickering back and forth, and then they just ram it through the courts. Like, that's not how it works, man. Like, it really isn't. And like, I get that it makes sense, right? And the thing is, I don't think it would ever really go away because like, literally, if Congress tried to pass a marriage equality act right now, I mean, I really do not think you are going to find a strong base of support against it, unless they go like extreme as shit with it, which maybe potentially, you really never know. But like, I'm going, you lost this because you left it up to the Supreme Court, and even people that are like fully 100% in favor of access to abortions disagreed with the Roe v. Wade and said that it was done wrong. They said it was open to be challenged as it was here, and it like so many signs on the wall. Like, I admit I never thought it was going to happen, but to like act like it wasn't a possibility is nuts to me. And the fact that for all these things that they're talking about, they're not trying to just put that into law, right, is the most insane shit to me. Because this Congress, this Senate, this president are deeply unpopular, right? Wouldn't like a popular thing to do, for the most part, something that would kind of be like a pretty easy win, a golden check mark that just would, like, honestly would probably be like passing like a marriage equality act in the Congress, right? So regardless of what the Supreme Court says, you have it protected under federal law, which is basically what the Supreme Court would do if it ever hit them and you had justices that are basically all Clarence Thomas, because that's literally the only guy that's for it, because every other justice said no. Like, not only no, like you have the left-wing people are like, absolutely not. Yeah, the Roberts guy who like is he like said that, yes, you're right on the law here, but also I don't agree with the opinion. It's fucking hilarious. And then the other justice said like this ruling should not reinterpret anything else. So like, if it hit the Supreme Court, I doubt it would ever like go through. But like, why would you ever leave it open to a challenge? Just have Congress, have the Senate, have the White House. Why not pass it under federal law? Honestly. It's never made sense. As soon as you thought that you're going to lose Roe v. Wade, why wouldn't you try to get like literally like if you said 15 weeks restrictions afterward, everybody is on board with that. But see, actually, that's a problem because they don't actually support that. They want on-demand till birth, which is disgusting. And if you really put me up against a wall and tell me to force and pick a side between these two extremes of no abortion and literal baby murder, like, I'm sorry. I'm done with the 15-week argument. I'm going to side with the people that do not think it's okay to execute babies. Wait, execute babies. Think about that. That's fucking weird. Why is Rosie O'Donnell trending? Oh, please tell me she's complaining about abortions. Ah, there we go. Yay! Oh, great. Rosie O'Donnell. Okay, all right. She's a national treasure. Let's hear what she has to say. Apparently nothing.
Impeach Clarence Thomas. Arrest his wife.
Wait, that's it? Oh, that was literally it. Fuck you! Oh, man, that sucked. Rosie O'Donnell has now she is on a sex strike in response. Oh, that's evil. That is just evil. I'm not gonna go through Twitter today because who knows what I'm gonna find. Yeah. I want to save this for later because it's really twisted what's said in this fucking call. Pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, Jody Sweden. I want to actually look. Okay. All right. So this person, fuck Biden Harris. I got pregnant at 15, my first boyfriend. My mom tried to force me into an abortion. I didn't want a baby, but something in me wouldn't let me kill my child. Today, that child is mad at me for agreeing with SCOTUS. The child I didn't kill. LOL. Hashtag irony. I mean, you know, the thing is, this argument that people don't try to force girls to get abortions or convince them that they should get abortions, that's the right decision. It does exist, right? Like, there are plenty of parents that will see that and demand the kid get an abortion, right? Because they don't want to be raising a teenage mother, right? That's embarrassing for them. Also, I think, what was I listening to? Ah, man, I can't remember. But it was this woman, and she was like, on Shapiro show or whatever. I don't know, but like, she was basically explaining, like, when she was on, she was at UCLA, she had basically gone in, like, I guess, like, an expose on what they were doing on the campus. And when she met with the nurse and said that she was pregnant and what should she do, the nurse basically informed her that, you know, it's going to be really embarrassing to be going into school pregnant with a child. The school will provide you with zero financial support. You will get no aid. And, you know, when she tried asking about, oh, what if we do adoption, the nurse sort of talked her out of that by saying it like giving up a gift, right? He kept pushing for the girl to get the abortion, and like, you're telling, and you know, to me, I'm sitting there going like, you're telling me that instead of pointing them into the direction of getting a, you're telling these girls that if they get pregnant, essentially their lives will be ruined, right? Their entire college experience is over. They'll be mocked, and it's going to be humiliating for them, right? Like, yeah, I think that you would convince women, especially young women, to not get pregnant. Like, of course you would. There's no way around that. That actually sounds like fucking horrific, right? And again, there are places where you can get hate. It's insane to me that you have people on the left that are just like, not only do they get to lie, they're like encouraged to lie. They're never honest about this shit. Every single time, Republicans don't. Like, I know this shit. More conservatives like donate to charity than on the left do, because the left doesn't believe in donating to charity. Their belief is that the government should get more tax money from you, and then they'll do good things for the public. And that's charity or stupid shit, right? It's actually fucking. Well, I think, you know, when you looked at Bernie Sanders, right? When you looked at how much he gives to charity, it's like it was like 1% or under. And like I get a lot of people do it for like tax benefits and shit like that, but bro, like regular people donated a higher percentage to that motherfucker. Like that's nuts. But he's the guy who's always about, you know, paying for your student loan debt and all this other shit. Yeah, because he wants other people to pay for it, right? Like, look, when the government says that they're going to pay for shit, what they mean is they're going to take more taxes from. And like, yeah, people on the left are actually really dumb. They're like, oh, well, we're going to make it so that it only targets the rich and the wealthy. Well, and then when you try to like figure out where they're gonna place it, it's like, no, like you don't get taxed. Like when you actually talk to them, they say some insane shit like 70 to 90%, and when they get like too high in the income brackets, I'm like, bro, those people will just leave the country. Like they'll keep their money in the stock market and leave the country. You aren't allowed to touch it. They don't live here anymore, and they have the funds to do that. So like, there's no way you're gonna stop that by the time you actually get it into law. So if you did, you would just chase away all of your tax money. Now they're not there paying the taxes from beforehand. So the government is going to have to turn around in order to pay for all of these programs, and they're going to have to come after the normal people. It's like they never consider that, you know, there's going to be like some response to what they're doing. It's insane to me. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little note to this. My daughter is not a leftist. She just has some wayward views sometimes. She's very intelligent, is in college to become a nurse. Just because she's mad doesn't mean we're enemies. Lord have mercy on those who assume. So that's a sweet note. You know, that's someone that really does love her daughter. Good for her. That's a good mom. I want to talk about that later. Okay, so I said that like when we talk about like actual insurrection, we talked about it on Friday night. The Department of Justice is basically turned in, and what the DOJ is doing right now is they're openly stating that they intend to defy the Supreme Court. Right? We've had the HHA secretary, I forget his name. Talk about basically hinted at using taxpayer money to provide travel expenses to women that want to get abortions. I'm like, okay, no, absolutely not. You're fucking done at that point. Like, I honestly don't care anymore. You don't get to do that. You not get to, like, fuck, man. Like, you would push me. I would. Oh man. Like, I don't like paying my taxes now, right? Like, you're gonna convince me to do some crazy shit, right? Because like, fuck that. I would never do that. That's disgusting to me. Like, I don't support it in general. I'm willing to do 15 weeks because like that should be a compromise for everybody. And you know, because I can't base it on religious values, right? I don't agree with it. I really don't. But it seems to be where the majority of the country is, and I'm willing to sit there and go, you know what? That's better than the other. That's better than the other shit. But I mean, like, even then, you know, I think that the left for like the longest time has gotten to bully and stand on, and they never ever get put to task or held to any fucking standard. So I think you're just at this point where it's like, you know, you have to really consider what you know what's going on, right? And I think you're just at this point where it's like, okay, let's just let's no longer compromise. you're demanding something and you're not getting your way, so you're like, fuck the Supreme Court, I'm not going to listen to them. DOJ is not going to listen to them. Biden administration is not going to listen to them. But I was supposed to like listen to like how all the Republicans don't respect rule of law and everything. I'm like, it's not that, right? You can, it's like for them, they just respect the power. When it agrees with them, then yes. When it disagrees with them, then they freak out and they get angry. Like, why would I ever, like, even for 2 fucking seconds, sit there and give 2 shits about, like, what they think or have to say on any subject at that point? It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But we have to. And I don't think I'll ever understand why. But maybe I'm wrong. It's really hard to say. Like, it's really hard to say. I think that the standards that are getting used right now determine, say it. What is and isn't to life are just like fucking shit to me. It really is. It comes down to it. I can't understand how you could ever justify an abortion at like 9 months, right? I can't fathom it, right? I really can't fathom it. And the thing is, I could almost, and I say almost, but I could almost respect the argument, right? That people don't actually want to have like late. So, that's a big like misconception and all that stuff. I could almost respect that, but then I need to respect it because there are alternatives. I'm not saying they're the greatest alternatives ever. I'm saying that there are alternatives. Suggesting. So like, and there's the more important part to the equation, right? Which is the fetus itself, which has no audible voice. Well, yeah. And I've seen people posting like fetus photos like really early, and they go, "Is this alive?" And I'm like we protect other life forms under law that we wouldn't really consider even like animalistic to most people. Gosh, this is a terrible way of saying it. It's not like we look at it as like a dog or anything. We look at it as like this fucking thing. Algae or whatever. But like, but we still do. I'm like, yeah, no, like if it's viable outside the effort, killing it, you cannot do that. I can't support that. But let's talk about take this off the screen. Covering it up. Let's talk about insurrectionary behavior by the Democratic Party. The most righteous and clearest of good parties. Dear Democratic colleague, this weekend the American people spoke out in person and in large numbers about their opposition to the Supreme Court's disrespect for a woman's freedom over her reproductive health. Following the release of the draft decision, our pro-choice House Democratic majority has been hard at work preparing for the possibility of this tragic outcome. Okay, that's not true, but I'll finish up this thing. Our caucus has been exploring avenues to protect the health and freedom of American women. Among them is legislation that protects women's most intimate and personal data stored in reproductive health apps. Many fear that this information could be used against women by a sinister prosecutor in a state that criminalizes abortion. It makes clear that Americans have the constitutional right to travel freely and voluntarily throughout the United States. Once again passes the Women's Health Protection Act, landmark legislation to enshrine Roe v. Wade into the law of the land. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that. When they talk about, like, being hard at work to prepare, in the case of that happening, this Women's Health Protection Act was literally abortions up until birth. Like it's never going to be popular with people. Like, you have to lie, and they always lie. And their argument is always like, "Oh, the American people, the majority of people agree with this." And no, the majority of people are actually disgusted by it. But yeah, if they had been hard at work, they could have like managed to get this shit passed through before, before the opinion had dropped. This is all in response to the opinion. When they talk about like, using personal data to get in there, like, look, I honestly kind of agree in the sense that in general, I think the data should be raped. Like, if that's what the person, like, if that's what like you're do, but man, like, I don't even know if because like if in a state where they like shut down abortions at all, then I think that if you're shutting down the Planned Parenthood, then data shouldn't be left in the state, right? Because that's sort of but also the idea that, oh, a sinister prosecutor. No, not unless the abortion facilities are going to be left open, and you want people to still be able to come inside, and the people in the state to you can be able to access it. Like, at that point, no. But I feel like that's more in line with what they're talking about, because they're extremely dishonest. Makes clear that Americans have the constitutional right to travel freely and voluntarily throughout the United States. I mean, like, if you want it to be a constitutional right, then it needs to be a constitutional right. And that's not what they're going to do. Like, they're gonna literally put an act and put the decision in Roe v. Wade was correct, and that is a constitutional, like, it's gonna be some really crackerjack stupid ass shit. And it's not gonna mean anything, because it will literally get challenged to the Supreme Court because these people are stupid. Once I actually, maybe they're not stupid. Maybe it's intentional, right? Maybe it's like they know it's gonna fail. They know Republicans can get shut down immediately, and that gets them the ability to be outraged and convince people to vote for them again. I feel like that's more in line with what they do, because like that's literally every single time they get elected, they're just like outraged. In his disturbing concurrence, Justice Clarence Thomas confirmed many of our deepest fears about where this decision may lead, taking aim at additional long-standing precedent and cherished privacy rights, from access to contraception and in vitro fertilization to marriage equality. Legislation is being introduced to further codify freedoms which Americans currently enjoy. More information to follow. Again, it's hilarious to me because Clarence Thomas didn't get to write the opinion on this one. And it makes, 100% sense, because no other justice on this agreed with him. And they're like, oh, this other stuff's gonna... It really won't. But also, even if it did, you should have put this stuff in the law a long fucking time ago. That's on you, idiots. And honestly, I don't even know if he could get it to pass through now, because they're not going to have the House for much longer. They won't have the Senate for much longer. And I think that, you could probably get it through in time, but I think Democrats are going to fucking slow roll it. That way it fails, and then they can just blame the other side. I really, because they have them. It is still appalling to me that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court would agree that a constitutional right does not exist if it was spelled out explicitly and in public when the 14th Amendment was ratified over 150 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say here, because, again, it's... hold on. Let me just do something. Okay, do really easy. Thing in the world do. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So this is from the ACLU, right? Not a right-wing organization by any means. The right to privacy is not mentioned in the Constitution, but the Supreme Court has said that several of the amendments create this right. It's literally an interpretation by the Supreme Court. Guess what is happening right now, you fucking idiot? I swear to God, like, that's one of the things I find so distasteful and dishonest about Democrats is there is actual language that they can use that is truthful, honest, and I still think people would completely support them anyways. Instead, what they're doing is, like, really trying to gin up a bunch of outrage. And it really pisses me off. Now we get into insurrectionary behavior, because here's the thing. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, right? Congress is an equal branch of government to the executive branch, which would be the president, and to the legislature, to the Supreme Court, which is also an equal branch of the government. So these three branches have equal power, supposedly, right? That's how it's supposed to be. And you basically have Congress, and you have the executive branch openly stating in one instance that they plan to defy the Supreme Court, right? And in the other case here, you have the Speaker of the House calling the Supreme Court extremist. So again, it's not extremist when you talk about aborting perfectly viable fetuses at 6 months, 5 months. Not for health of the mother, not for any good reason. But if you say, like, okay, then no abortions, period. Extremist. Yeah, honestly, I think the only reason why Clarence Thomas went so hard in his concurrence was probably because these idiots have been, like, parading outside of his home. And also keep talking about how they want to arrest his wife. Like, yeah, man, like, at a certain point, maybe filter just comes completely fucking off. Oh, man. While this extremist Supreme Court works to punish and control the American people, Democrats must continue to control the American people. Must continue our fight to expand freedom in America. Doing so is foundational to our oath of office and our fidelity to the Constitution. It is clear from how Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell stacked the Supreme Court that elections have ramifications. It is essential that we protect and expand our pro-choice majorities in the House and Senate in November, so we can eliminate the filibuster, so we can restore women's fundamental rights and freedom for every American. Thank you for the lead. Hey, fuck you, bitch. Like, you know what's happening right now? They literally have nothing else to campaign on, so they're gonna make it all about abortion. And see, in the past, when people on the right would, like, post images of, like, you know, fetuses that had been killed at, like, you know, 5 to 6 months, and it's really fucking disturbing to see. Like people on the left get outraged and say, no, you can't show that, that's wrong, no! And they immediately try to get it censored and pulled offline because it is so distasteful, because it looks like an actual baby now. In their heads, they keep saying it's a cluster of cells. Even at 5 months, they'll still say it's a cluster of cells, it's a parasite, yada yada. So when you start showing people what they're referring to being aborted, it kind of, like, really turns people off very quickly, and they get outraged and demand that it gets pulled down. Well, if you turn it into a fucking campaign issue, guess what Republicans are gonna, like, span the airwaves with? And, like, really force through. Put it all over social media. Yeah, it's gonna be disgusting. But, like, when you show people what they're referring to, it's like, no. It's absolutely no. And again, it's a state issue thing. It's going to be a state issue thing. Because as much as I might feel a certain way about abortions, California is going to do abortions up till birth. They're not going to fucking care. Oh man. But yeah, no. GG Evan, thank you for the tip. I disagree. Abortion should be legalized fully even after birth. How else are we going to abort the Ralph retort? Dude, GG, that was fucking funny. That was really funny. I'm so sorry. Let me turn alerts on. Dude, that was good, man. BP. Dude, BP, you're here? Do you want to, like, hop on, man? I always invite you when I see you in chat now. Just come on. Right. But yeah, no, like, I'm just like fucking no. Like, fuck this one. Like, she's disgusting. She's trash. Actually, speaking of trash, look at this shit. This is, bro, this is fucked. This woman is just nasty. Okay? Watch this. Watch this. It's crazy. Okay? This is a little girl. She's on the stage with Nancy Pelosi. She's being, and I think this is the congresswoman who's being sworn in right now. These are her kids. Look, bro, this is really fun.
We wanted our pastor to come into the picture.
Okay, so they're taking the photo. She sees the kid who's standing right there. And she nudges her off to the side. Like, what the fuck is with you, woman? Like, a little girl just like fucking and just like stands right back there. Like, you see the girl. There's no excuse. And then he's like, nudge her off. Like, you're such a cunt. It's actually funny. It's actually funny how fucking vain this woman is. Oh, man. Oh, Again. Fighting for your freedoms, everybody. Fighting for your freedom. What is this? Oh, okay, Colin, is California ready for more black people to legally carry guns in public? The Supreme Court says the Second Amendment covers the right to carry guns in public for black. It's really not that complicated. Like, let me be very clear. Everybody gets to carry a gun. Is California ready for that? Are you fucking... It doesn't matter if they're fucking ready for it or not. Black people are allowed to carry guns too, just the same as everybody else. My wife's black. You think I have a problem with my fucking wife owning a gun, you fucking dipshit? Piece of fucking shit. Racist motherfuckers. Oh, I'd be so scared. You know they can't. You know what really fucking pissed me off is when the Supreme Court basically struck down this bullshit New York law, where they basically demand a permit, but then get to deny the permit in like every single instant. And they sit there and go like, oh, no, now that they've done that, but they're not going to support it once the black people start getting the guns. You know, I really think they're twitching and they're freaking out the black people on guns because they're racist. And they're terrified of black. I don't respect any other fucking notion. Because you are willfully fucking misleading to say that shit. I had no fucking problem with you fucking... Makes you angry. It really does. Because again, my wife is black. Of course I want her to get more guns. I like my guns. To all those couples holding up signs that beg you... Oh my gosh. Am I already at this part? We'll jump into countdown, Caleb, but we got a couple of tweets here to go. To all those couples holding up signs that beg you not to abort and we will adopt your baby. Why don't you ever consider adopting one of the 400,000 children in the foster care system? Plenty of children need a good home. Why do you need a baby? Oh, that's right. Older children have developed a personality. They will resist the conditioning and the bigotries you will try to pass to them. They are too much of a challenge for you. Like, you know what's hilarious about this shit? Who's that guy that they love? Colin Kaepernick? Colin Kaepernick. And now he sits there fucking kneeling and protesting. Yeah. I mean, maybe he was indoctrinated. Maybe he was indoctrinated. I think that's stupid as shit. I would really think his parents raised him with love, because why wouldn't they? Adoption is not easy. It takes a lot of fucking effort, a lot of time. And then when you succeed in doing so, you then have to raise a child. You don't do that unless you're ready to be a parent, and you have to love the kid to do all of that. This idea that, again, when it comes to people on the left, right? They just assume that the other side are just fucking evil. And then they work backwards from that notion. They start off evil, and then anything that they want from there, well, that's okay to call them fucking bigots and Nazis and shit, because they were evil. Anything that they say, it must be because they're evil. If they support what's going on now, it must be because they're fundamentalist Christians. It's fucking funny to me. They keep talking about, like, oh, men should have no say. It's like, do you know how many, like, women are in these pro-life groups? Like, and again, or anti-abortion groups? It's quite a fuck ton. There are plenty of mothers that went through this decision, love their children, and then when they hear what you tell, other women who are young, they're like, no, you're completely wrong. And we hear you, like, get, like, violent and angry and, like, spit and piss, like, makes them want to do something. Makes them want to put a stop to what you're fucking saying. Conservatives are all for we will adopt your baby until it's a same-sex couple trying to achieve the same goal. Now look, here's my stance on it again. I'm totally okay. I really don't mind. If it's like literally a loving couple, I think that they should be allowed to raise a child. I see. Now, this is what the bill, because when I saw this one, right? I saw the anti-gay adoption bill. I was like, oh, wow, that sounds really bad. But then I was like, I don't even have to go into the article because it says it right over here. Allows faith-based foster care and adoption agencies to use taxpayer money even if they exclude prospective LGBTQ parents. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, look, yeah, I disagree if there's a church group, right? And they don't want gay parents adopting. But also, that is not, like, essentially what this bill says is if they're going to do that, they can still get taxpayer dollars. That's I mean, like, you don't, when you have to stretch and lie, and it's right there. Like, you don't even go to the fucking article. It's like literally right there in the subheader. I fucking can't. Yeah, I disagree with what's being signed here, but at the end of the day, it's also not what this jackass is claiming. But they get to lie. They're allowed to lie. Every couple posting "we will adopt your baby" signed pictures is just giving me this vibe. Because again, they're evil. They must just want to fuck the children. That must be it. They would never want to actually provide support for other people's children. They're evil, greedy capitalists. Okay. The worst part about these "please don't abort, we will adopt your baby" photos is they are uniformly pictures of couples who will abuse, neglect, and make homeless any children who are LGBTQ fat, not white, we'll talk about that, disabled, or who become non-Christian. These are not good people. Okay, again. Immediately, first assumption, they must be fucking evil. But also, like, I just had to say here, Rich, I think when they adopt the kid, they're gonna know the race of the kid. The other stuff, yeah, it could be mystery, who fucking knows, but like, this is like the one thing that, unless they're blind. This is like fucking Clayton Bigsby going to adopt a kid. Oh man, it's actually fucking funny. It really is. These people are nuts. Oh yeah, dude. BP, join. You know when you're in here. Great, you don't already have it together. There you go. Now I'll put you like right into the waiting room. I can drag you in. Oh shit, you're already here. BP, what's up, man?
Oh man, am I on? We live?
Yeah, we're live. Here, let me share the screen with you. See. There we go.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, like, so there are these people, they're holding up these signs that are like, please don't abort, we'll adopt your baby, and it's these couples, and they're doing it because, like, there are a lot of families who want to raise a baby, right? And it's not a new thing. And so they're being mocked online by, like, these, like, evil fucking leftist people. And they're saying, like, the most terrific shit, and it's basically just working off the assumption these people, right? So, like, this one is saying, like, these people are going to adopt them, and then they're just going to abuse, neglect, and make them homeless if they're gay, or if they're fat, or if they wind up not being white, or if they're disabled, or if they're not Christian. And it just goes like, these are not good people. Like this person is just filled with fucking hatred and contempt, right? They just assume that the other people are evil. And that's all this shit is. Like, these motherfuckers are psychotic. They go out and, like, firebomb a crisis pregnancy center, right? What they do over at that center is help out, you know, mothers who are about to give birth, giving birth, just giving birth. They help them through the process, and they help them out, you know, with seeking financial aid, and help them with, like, community support, right? And these motherfuckers firebomb those locations. Then turned around and kept saying, these pro-lifers, they don't care about what happens to the baby afterwards. They don't want to do it. They just want to... Like, it's so dishonest. It's blatantly fucking... They just start from... The people that are anti-abortion are just evil. They're evil, or they're Christo-fascist. BP, are you a Christo-fascist?
I must be, you know, because I'm one of those people who's considering adopting. Like, we're trying right now, and if it doesn't work out here in a few years, like, I'm gonna want to adopt a young child. But guess what I found out?
What?
There's a very long waiting list. Very long.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, and it costs time, and it costs tons of money, and a lot of people, they never get that chance. So it's kind of a sad and intimidating thing. There's a lot of people out there who would love to have a baby but can't. And who's to say that they're any of these things? This person's obviously very upset, and they've set up a straw man that they can just say the worst things about with no proof. And this is what you got.
See, like, I feel like that's the entire side. Like, I think that there are people that do make good arguments, right, in terms of support for abortions. And that's why I said I think the majority of the country literally is at, you know, first trimester, 12 to 15 weeks maximum, and then they like heavy restrictions after that. That's not where the left is. The left is abortion up to term. So if you put me in a decision of making a decision between both of those, well, you know, I'm gonna support the one that doesn't result in you, like, killing perfectly viable fetuses en masse, because for some twisted, fucked up reason, you're convinced that if you give birth to it, it'll destroy your entire life. It doesn't work. And you know, if the consequence of that is that, you know, women are gonna have more responsible sex, and, you know, dudes are going to be forced to use contraception, or, you know, they will be forced to provide financial support, or you know, become deadbeat dads in society, which I can promise you, that's not something that is looked well upon by anybody. Like I've had to work with banks, right? You know, people approve other people for loans and everything. Any woman that works in any type of funding department, the moment she sees child support, especially, and I'm talking about child support that is past due, they instantly deny it. Even if they qualify in every other parameter, they will instantly deny that shit. Because there's no woman in society who supports some motherfucker who doesn't pay for his fucking kids. Just realistically. Yeah, some fucking dunderhead. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I get it. But, like, no, it's a fucked up fucking existence. You are fucked. They live at the fucking bottom of society. They never fucking crawl out of it.
Yeah, and here's the thing that kind of happens when you come to an impasse. If nobody's willing to budge, nobody's willing to settle, nobody's willing to meet in the middle, is you take the risk of getting one of the extremes. And we had one, and now we have another. You know, I don't
I say
think
like the pendulum swung back. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it definitely has. Is we took kind of an extreme measure, and we've been living with that in our culture and our society, and people are like, well, actually, maybe we took a step too far. And it's not just the Supreme Court. There was a lot of support for this. There's obviously been a discussion about this, but not a good discussion, in that nobody could really sit down and talk about the issue without their head frying.
Well, so, like, one thing I do want to say to that is it's not even just the we have, like, how do you say it, people's heads frying or something. I feel like what you look at here, you have women, like, who you have a large support of women who are not for Roe v. Wade, who do not agree with with what is being supported here. They just get ignored. They don't get listened to. Fuck them. And when they do speak, they have someone shout at them, well, what happens when you get raped?
You will be.
and what's even worse is when they do respond and they say, then I'll raise the kid, they think you're lying. Like, man, like, there are other women who have actually carried a baby to term after being raped. I'm not saying that is something everyone should do. I do think there should be, some availability, right? But, like, there is no agreement here. We allow the left to push for whatever they want, and they get no pushback. When it comes to passing laws and shit like that, they screech and they bitch and they moan and they piss in anger whenever they can't get something passed, right? And they immediately scream that, Republicans are obstructing them and they're not obeying the rules of the law, and that, they need to break the filibuster and all this other, like, heinous, insane shit, right? But
yeah.
But then you flip it around, and when Republicans actually do compromise on something, they literally get nothing back. The left just gets only part of what they wanted. It's not a fucking compromise. They just get slowed down a little bit in having their way, because when it comes right back to, like, the Republicans trying to get something passed, like, the left doesn't agree with them on anything. I mean, look what happened with, like, Trump. I mean, that was nonstop. We are going to fight and we're going to obstruct whatever. And when I talk about, like, the Uniparty, yeah, the establishment Republicans were on board with that shit too, because they didn't like the idea of Trump, who's not a long established politician from a political family, coming in, who used to be a Democrat, coming in and taking helm of the party. They were happy to see him fail.
Right, and I don't know how much of that is on the Republican Party. It seems like they haven't had many things that they want to aspire to, and all they really end up doing is slowing down the progress of the left And then the left seems to be kind of used to this pattern as well. And so when they don't get their way with something, it's kind of like a good example, maybe just myself growing up as a child. I didn't get my way, and I found out I could kind of stamp my feet and maybe get a reaction, and maybe I get my way. And the more frequently I got my way, the more I wanted to stamp my feet. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
I mean, I said this once before, but when you have people on the left and they're allowed to go riot, loot, burn, protest, and you have people on the right and they're not allowed to do anything, right? Even close to. You're going to have them eventually say, like, why are the rules side? Well, because what they're saying to, it's a good thing. What you want, it's a bad thing. That doesn't fucking work. Of course you don't agree on what's good and what's bad. Of course you don't. Like, that's fair. That makes sense. But you don't get to deny somebody. You do not get to deny somebody else, right? Like, you don't get to, like, do this shit and then piss and moan when they say, oh, wow, it worked for you. I guess I'll do the same. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, man, it's hard to see the causal reflect, right, with what's going on. There's this thing going on in politics that I've seen my whole life. I like to call, well, whataboutism. And so when I see people, especially politicians or people like with their talking points, they're sitting here saying like, well, what about this? And they try and exempt some poor behavior and they try and distract. And what we ultimately have is people trying to go back to the original sins of the world. And it's just, we're never going to find solutions in that. And so until there's something that comes along that makes like people actually humbled and have a purpose to get together and like try and actually solve something, I don't think we're going to see much progress. I think that we're just going to see more of the same, especially with the way that technology has changed the world. People are just getting further and further away from one another. Your next door neighbor, they're further and further away from you every week. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not even this being further away. I mean, it's just like in general.
And I mean, I extend this to the left and the right. I just think people are getting more and more out of touch. I think that they're being conditioned to just throw people away. I think that, when we hop on social media, it's tailored to interactions and, people, they just keep on finding more and more echo chambers generally. And having a tough conversation, that's difficult. That doesn't validate me. That doesn't give me any confirmation bias. And so people, you have enough problems in your life. People don't want to spend that mental energy to go and actually try and solve something else. They just want to hear, whatever's convenient to them be spun as moral. And I think that morality has become this thing that's convenient instead of this thing that's good. I don't know.
I kind of agree with you because I think morality has turned into what's the popular decision or what's the popular opinion, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even that anymore. Like, what I see is there's a ton of bull that happens with people's, right? If I were to say like I support this thing and this thing is not popular, like, well, let's be real. I'm Muslim. Faith-wise, I'm not supposed to support gay marriage. I do because, look, I have my ways of feeling about it, right? I don't support the crazy shit that the fucking but like, I hear you. Yeah, if I were to say as a Muslim, I don't support gay marriage. Right, look at what happened that phase that phase play, right? He lives in Saudi Arabia. In that country, it's actually fucking criminal. Like, he can't say that he supports it because it would make him a fucking criminal in his country, right? But these motherfuckers see the post and they're like freaking out and wanting him to get kicked off that team. Like, I think the whole phase thing is fucking ridiculous and stupid. But Like, what do you want from the guy? Do you literally want him to get fucking killed? Will that support your fucking cause? Will that validate your existence if this guy gets fucking put into a fucking hole? Obviously not. But like, do they give a shit? No. They can't stand the very notion that somebody question their quote unquote their identity.
Yeah, no, it's this weird kind of thing where we think like because somebody isn't being as nice as they could be, somehow we have some kind of moral high ground against them. It's especially awkward when those people are like they're doing the kind of a bad thing themselves and then being like, well, you could have been nicer, you could have like accepted more of this, but on the flip side, like you're being a jerk. Like you punch me in the mouth and then complain about me reacting to it, kind of stuff. It's strange. I mean, people are gonna try and get away with what they can. Like we've just kind of cultivated this culture of babies.
I mean, I don't really. It's unfortunate because it shouldn't be that way, but you know, people in society today, like they're fucking. It goes. Actually, no, it goes beyond just being childish, right? They demand that you validate their fucking. Gotten to the point where, you know, they got kids going to fucking school wearing like animal costumes, and when you walk around, teachers are told to like respect that. Like that just speaks to some failure in our society. Like it really does, because there's nothing you can do to or say it's okay. There's literally nothing.
Yeah, it's one thing to bring in, S-Ed. I don't know what you could say on YouTube these days, but to kind of let students know what the consequences are when they're about teenagers, and like what the financial burden, like what this will mean down the line, like how to be safe and all of that, like things that you actually need to know. And then there's this like hyperness to it where we're talking about like positions and acts, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like how did it come to this? And the answer is there was a good intention once, and what people will do with something they can do something to is they'll do it. I was raised like you try and treat other people the way you want to be treated, but the unfortunate truth of the world is people are just going to treat you a certain way, and no amount of what you're putting into that interaction, that person, no system that you set up is ever going to be used only to good effect. There's always going to be people who misuse the good intentions of others. There's always going to be people abusing other people. There's always going to be people abusing systems. And then when we make these systems where the pendulum is just kind of swung far to the side, I think what we're seeing now is kind of that kind of rebalancing. And, like, and I'm with you. Like, I think that there should be exceptions, like, especially when somebody doesn't have choice in the matter. Like, I completely understand that. I understand why that would terrify somebody. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to have an adult conversation about stuff like abortion.
It's not even having an adult conversation. I find it blatantly fucking dishonest with people on the left, right? Okay, so we talk about women who have been raped, right? Anytime you have a conversation with someone on the left and you go, okay, so if we said that rape and incest totally okay, 100%, but still we're not going to allow it as contraception. They're not for that. They're not for that at all. They want it on demand for everybody. They just like hiding behind rape victims, because it gives them the opportunity to say, "Oh, you don't care about women who are raped." It's like, "Oh yeah. Oh, I don't care." Not the people who use them as human meat shields.
Right, you take the extreme to justify the general. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like
It's-
to me, it's just it's literally fucking actual whores cowering and whimpering behind rape victims.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. Yeah. I mean, there the other part of it is that there are these people who go through this stuff, and but the bulk of it is I was watching Ozark, and it's just part of our culture, right? Like, so at
Ozark is
some
part of
point,
our culture.
I'm
Explain.
getting not that being part of our culture, but in so the wife of the main character gets pregnant, and the first thing he says to her is, "Are you going to keep it?" And that's where the issue has been. Okay, it's not even not even to the point of anything else like these extremes. It's just like, oh, like we got pregnant. Oh, like these people are in their 40s and they're having this conversation. They're pretty settled.
Yeah. I,
That's the reality of what's happening is people that's another part of the reality. And I think that people want to just kind of like close their eyes off to the general picture. They want to close their eyes off to the other extreme. So I'm saying that there are people who go through this stuff that they get ARPed, or at the other extreme, we have these insane people on TikTok bragging about it, like about them getting abortions, like they just won some Olympic medal. It's like, I'm on my sixth one. And they're sitting there drinking wine and stuff, bragging about it.
I saw one. I think it was like a post or TikTok post, and it was like, "Oh, I've had like 4 abortions. There, if we banned Roe v. Wade, then there'd be 4 children running around right now, and I think everybody knows I'm not fit to be a mother." And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe if we banned abortion, you would have had to actually be fucking responsible with your own fucking body for once. You would be such a fucking child today. But I wonder honestly how much more mature society would be if we didn't allow actual fucking whores to run around. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not talking. I'm not talking about arrest them. I just mean if we shame them as hardly as hard as you manage to shame anyone who is pro-life.
imagining people like my ex-wife being arrested.
Right?
And also all the man whores out there. You guys need to calm down and figure out like what you're doing too.
Oh my
Jeez.
gosh, yeah, no, they're the worst.
Oh man. That it's the behavior. It's not the gender. And yeah, so what do you think's going to happen? What do you use aside from all the raging and all the posturing and all the theater?
I
Like,
don't
where do we go from here?
I don't think they'll be able to pass anything. The problem is we're paying it. So they can't get the right, and that's what they're really. So instead, it's like, oh well, we have to actually present the idea to the planning on. And like when you hear the shit that they want, right? It's at odds with like basic. I'd say like basic things would be appalled by the shit they actually. But that's where you're at. You know, they want something that I think is fucking, and they're not honest about it. So if they try to talk, can you imagine a presidential debate with Trump of all people? That'd be nuts. But
Oh no.
like no, imagine it's DeSantis, right? And you know DeSantis just turns around and mollywops him on the head and just like, look, I mean, if it was 15 weeks and he says like, yeah, I think that makes sense or something of that nature because everybody in America is. If he says that, I mean, yeah, he might piss off some like hardcore conservatives, but like you're like right there in the center with most people. It's such a fucking take. What are they gonna do? Oh no, you have to understand. We need abortions up till term because it's the only way to protect the rights of the woman. It should be up to her to kill the baby when it's perfectly viable outside her womb. Like, Again, I'm optimistic a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, so it was so Roe v. Wade was put in there by my very basic, not great understanding under some kind of like privacy thing, right?
Yeah.
And so like what would you even pass? Would you go for equal protections or something? But even then, like if you were to say it were equal, does that mean a man can then say, well, actually you're going to get an abortion now? Is that the is that the price of something like that?
I mean, look.
And are we going to guarantee men that we're going to pay for
No.
their
Oh my gosh.
medical procedures so that they have babies and the taxpayers pay for that?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Is
So
that
like,
the equalness?
when we talk about like people on the left, and where I think they're just like so absurdly to talk about. You talk about you talk about many things, but like specifically when it comes to men, like, well, men don't have a say. And like, okay, yeah, because they shouldn't have one. And it's like, what? Like, you don't get to fucking sit there and do that. Like, thing is, the Constitution, like the actual Constitution, calls for equal protections under the law. Like, you can't sit there and say like, oh, it's okay for women to do this, but not like, yeah, no, it's just nuts to me. The shit they justify, say with a straight face.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I feel don't even know what the word is for a woman who hates men, but we all know what a misogynist is. In fact, we hear it probably once a week in the news, depending on how much we're consuming it, maybe once a day, maybe more frequently. Everything's misogyny. And we've been pitted against one another in this like complete farce of men versus women, um, you know, one ethnicity against another, when people have more in common with their neighbors and people in their like socioeconomic class than they do with other people who they're being pitted against. I mean, they have more in common with the people they're being pitted against than the people that they're not. It's very strange. And I think it's very strange that if I were to go and talk to a bunch of my neighbors, we might come to a head and get in an argument, even though we have a lot of the same concerns. We probably live a lot of the same lifestyle. Um, and we generally would actually agree on most issues. But what happens is people get fed this like one piece of like triggering information and is like, nope, I've got it all figured out. I'm going to pick you up, put you in a bad column. Now all of your opinions are bad. Now everything you have to say is bad. You don't have any value as a person. Now I can say the most reprehensible and do the most reprehensible things to you as a person. I can demonize you because you don't have the right opinion. And
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's part of it. Like, I think it goes beyond just even. Like, they cannot address us honestly on any subject.
yeah, because we can't even sit there and talk about a subject without being like, what about this other thing? And what about that other time? And it's just like, okay, as somebody who's been to court and recently, you don't really get to talk about that when you have to sit down and face issues head on. You have to talk about the issues and you have to talk about the specifics. And if you don't, well, and if you can't come to some kind of agreement, guess what happens? Well, you risk running the you risk losing everything in it. So there's a lot to be gained for having these conversations. We don't function if we can't get along. Like there's no we. At the point in time, people aren't concerned about getting along and not just telling other people what they should do, because people are getting really tired of that.
Oh,
Uh, that's why I say a lot of kind of like I don't have all the answers, but I can contribute to the conversation, and I think that if more people had this ability to take a person's perspective on one issue and let that just be what that is, and not let that like assault our sense of self and Like now we know who they are just by this like one opinion without even probably giving them a chance to clarify. You know what I mean? Like, how are we ever going to go forward when all we have is the 180 characters?
The 180 characters. If you can't get your thought out in 100 characters, I'm not sure it's even worth hearing what you have to say, sir.
Well, I don't have a Twitter account, so that's on me.
Yeah, it's on you. You're not on the Twitters. That makes you a bad person.
Not on the
Bad
Twitters
people.
anymore.
Bad people aren't on Twitter. Dude, it's so fucking. It's kind of like comical having the conversations, arguments with. You're a bad person because you disagree with them, and they want the good thing. Like, there's no ability to get them to understand people have to live together, and we're allowed to disagree. You know, to them, if you disagree with them, it makes you a bad person. Bad person disagree. They're a good person. Bad person bad. How do you talk to somebody like that? How?
Well, you have to walk in lockstep, and you have to accept the politically correct opinion, and obviously that's how we've gotten here. It's easy to see. Is you need to have the right opinions to fit into one of two groups, and if you don't have them, then you don't have a home there. It's tough, right? We live in an adversarial system, and it's going to be a two-party system because if you have a third party, we've seen what happens often with that. And so people are bound to, try and vote for the lesser of two evils. But what happens is people can't just stop there. They have to then go after people's lives. And they can just be like, let's just agree to disagree, and let's talk about this other thing and see if we can solve anything there in the meantime. Like we can't do that anymore. That's how I was raised. That's I feel like I did that with my friends growing up, and I feel like maybe maybe I was just ignorant, maybe I was just in a bubble, but I feel like tensions are just getting worse and worse and worse.
Actually, I feel like a lot of people. I mean, what do you how do you work when they're okay lying about it? They say the most nasty. You do try to when you eventually do get to talk to them, they just shout and scream in your face.
Yeah, they do what this person did, is they take your argument and they tell you what you're going to do and who you are and what your potential is, and then they go and try and tell everybody else and try and get clout and try and get money for doing so.
I mean, it's nasty. It's really nasty. We gotta talk about this though. Count Dankula. Did you hear about the shit that he pulled?
I did not.
Fucking Count Dankula goes out and he changed his PFP to a picture of him with a robe on, and it was Supreme Court Justice Dankula. And he put in response to Joe Biden's tweet, "We did consider this decision carefully." And since he's a verified blue checkmark account, and he put himself as a Supreme Court justice, dumbasses believed he was the actual account. And so they started fucking tweeting at him and DMing him actual death threats. Shit. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah, so like he posted like a whole fuck ton of messages, and it's really hilarious. A lot of people deleted their tweets to him, but some of them are still up, so we can go through it. But this is the picture that was used, and I think it's fucking hilarious.
That's the one redeeming quality, is the memes.
Oh, 100.
Love the memes.
All
Oh
right,
yeah, that's great.
So this is back when he was still pretending to be Supreme Court Justice. Where it was like, it's hard not to get pregnant when you're brutally raped. Have you ever thought about that? This is what I mean, like always hiding behind rape. Kind of is like all the time. Because the majority of them all realize I'm not a justice, but they're all still in my mentions because they're still really mad. Also, might retire the justice bit soon. A lot of work to do next week and a YouTube video coming out tomorrow. Now, this DM I just thought was fucking hilarious. The dude, it goes like fucking hard at him, right? Telling you like kill himself, saying someone's gonna do it for him. It says that there's worse things than death, and the guy goes, "What state do you live in? I'll just look myself." Motherfucker Googled Count Dankula, found out who he was, and stopped messaging him. That's actually fucking hilarious.
Oh my goodness. Some people are so dumb. I mean, just so irate, but also so dumb.
Look at how many he's got to leave.
Jeez, man.
Dude, some
People
of
saw
these
a guy in a robe and thought he was on the Supreme Court. Like, is that what?
Dude, fucking. Don't you have a dog to be teaching to do Nazi salutes? Don't you have a relationship with your father to fix? Fucking. There was something on SCOTUS. Oh, did you see this Jody Sweden thing?
I haven't.
He was at an abortion protest in fucking LA, and apparently got knocked around. So, unfortunately, here's the thing. I don't think Jody Sweden likely did something that warranted being shoved like that, but also, I guess Quartering was tweeting about it, saying like she was in the crowd and she was like fucking with, the cops, kind of like getting in their face, and so they just like fucking tossed her back into the crowd. I really don't even want to go through and read the like comments and shit like that, because it's not going to be anybody being honest about the situation. It's going to be people getting angry. Let's see here.
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, there are a lot of cops that do a lot of crap stuff. There are bad cops too. But when somebody's approaching a cop in a situation like this, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes at some level.
So they're saying this is the same area as her. I mean, a bit of a like more context. Okay. All right. If she was in this area, right, and the cops are pushing people back from crossing here, the only one they didn't push back was the old guy, right? Probably because he would have like gotten like killed. Like old man takes a stumble, pops his head.
It looks like there's a bunch of people hiding behind him.
But like my thing is, they're pushing all these people back, okay? And then she's in the clip. I already went away from it. She's in the clip and she's like way past the line.
Yeah.
And here's that same guy with the pink shirt. So it seems like they were pushing people back and the actress decided, she was just going to go even further in. Unless you're telling me that the cops pulled her from the protesters, dragged her behind the police line, just so they could shove her back onto the ground. Like...
It must have been it.
Yeah, I'm going like, I don't... this is what I mean about like not trusting these people. They don't like being honest. They like setting this shit up, and they like fucking lying.
The thing is, media loves loves these clips.
Well, and here's the
right?
thing, though.
Like,
This is
they've
fucking in LA.
orchestrated this.
This is in LA. I don't care. You know what? Defund your fucking police. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, especially considering like in LA, the state laws are going to be such that, is there even a difference? Like, I don't know what their state law is. Is there even a difference there?
Yeah, California will go abortion on demand up till fucking point of birth.
Yeah, so it's a difference in the direction that they want. Right?
No, you don't understand. They want it for the entire country. Not just where they live, okay? Because there could be a girl who lives out in fucking Louisiana, okay?
I'm really tired of those arguments.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, they say that they don't want to control others, and they just want to live. That's not true at all. Like, they literally get to do whatever they want in their fucking states, and they're pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are going to be a few people negatively affected in these other states with strict laws. I'm not going to say there's not, but by and large, you're going to save a whole bunch of lives as well. And there's going to be other people who would have gotten an abortion who might be glad they didn't. This is also true. There's a whole bunch of true things happening. And like I was saying earlier, like people want to just pretend like this one extreme is the only thing that's happening. Well, what about the rest of the story? And what about other people's right to like have a choice and to weigh in and to people to be their own government?
They don't have that.
We just need California to tell us what to do. In other states with different cultures, and different values.
Yeah, it's weird to me because at the end of the day, I think I don't even agree with it being a state thing. Because to me, I look at that in a lot of those cases. Yeah, I think you could qualify it as murder. Like if you take something that's perfectly viable outside of the fucking womb, right? And because for whatever reason, okay, other than it is stillborn or it is dead already or something of that nature, I mean, how do you justify killing it? Like, how do you do that? Because it's what the mother wanted. Okay, she wanted outside of her body because it was her body, her choice. Okay, if they can remove it from her body, okay, you no longer have this fucking argument. If she chooses to yeet it on the way out of her body, okay, that has nothing to do with a right to privacy or bodily autonomy. That is straight up fucking murder. But you're not allowed to say that because for the most part in this country, for the longest time, it's been perfectly acceptable. It's not anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we can shame certain people for certain behaviors, but we can't shame other people for other behaviors. And it's interesting watching people try and decide like who gets to be shamed. And then you find out that we're picking and choosing not just the behaviors, but also who we shame for those behaviors. So if we like them, if they're like some kind of celebrity or they have this other opinion, well, they can just lie in court. They can juicy it up and we'll back them forever. But, somebody else lies about something similar and, well, we don't like them because they don't have the right politic X or opinion X or attribute Y or Z.
Oh, no, I would say that's one. I don't think you should ever be allowed to just about some the way that they do. At the end of the day, unfortunately, it's going to be something. And eventually becomes something that's just that's when I think it really is a problem. Because once you accept it, you stop trying to change it, and you're just like, oh, is what it is. Fuck it. See how that works? I don't see how that's helpful. Honestly, I don't. But I wanted to read through this because I thought this was pretty powerful. It's simply what would you call it? Anecdotal, I guess. But this is someone who claims to be gay, and it's their message to say a message to the left from a gay man. It wasn't. All right, so let me read this. And BP, feel free to jump in because it goes on for a while. Okay.
Sure thing. Thanks, man.
A message to the left from a gay man. It wasn't enough. Oh, you're angry because of the reversal of Roe v. Wade. Okay. You're angry because you think they will come for gay marriage next and gay relations. Okay, let's see whose fault is that per se. Any guesses? We're looking right at the issue now. You. All we gay, bi, lesbians, and even some sane transgender people wanted was to be able to live our normal lives as normal people and blend in with the rest of the community with our partners. We got that back in 2015 and we're good with it. In fact, we're closing the fight after that. However, for you it wasn't enough. You sent your minions to a Christian baker who just wanted to bake cakes, follow his belief in God. You didn't want to go to the next door. You chose him so you could attack his beliefs. Did so many times over. I am surprised he's still in business. Actually, BP, this is what I mean about, like, they don't want you to be able to exist unless you accept them. And the thing is, when it comes down to it being like gay marriage and things like that, I don't see an issue with that. Other people do, right? You don't accept them for their beliefs. I completely get it. Neither do I. But we all got to live together, like, in the country. And if they're not getting violent with you, you don't get to be violent towards them. That's it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And what opinion's popular today might not be popular in 10 years.
Well, I mean, like, over here, when you talk about the Christian baker, they repeatedly would make requests of his shop just to sue him when he said no. And it was like lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, because he was either going to agree or they were going to shut down his business. That was the intent. They can't make the argument that, you know, they're okay, you know, they just want to be they just want to be acceptance, because it goes beyond that now. You want to punish people who don't support you.
Yeah.
I mean, I see, like, when I looked at this whole Ezra Miller case, right? Which, you know, we've talked about on the other channel. I'm going to plug it at the end of this. But we talked about the Ezra Miller case. In the Ezra Miller case, you basically have people who are, like, more upset that people are misgendering him, quote unquote, right? And I'm going, this guy is accused of horrendous shit, okay? And I understand that you don't like the misgendering thing, but, like, take a step back and realize that people put the children first and they don't actually care about humanizing or dehumanizing or any of that fucking language when they're talking about a pedophile, someone who abuses kids. If you sit there and turn around and argue that, you know, their gender expression and protecting that is primary when discussing the pedophile, like, I'll be honest with you, man, like, you're so far off from where every fucking other is. There's really no purpose even. There really isn't. You know, these are people normalizing these children. All right.
Yeah, no, really. Like, how do you logic somebody to out of a position they didn't logic themselves into?
You can't. And that's the thing. If you see, like, a lot of times the conversation with people about break, like, I acknowledge, like, there are a lot of, like, slippery slope what ifs from this decision, but it's like you literally only have one guy on. I don't think it could happen, but if you do, then you should be working to get this stuff passed in law in Congress, which they're going to. We'll see how they fuck it up.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
It wasn't enough. You begin pushing Pride Month where corporations would virtue signal by putting Pride labels on their logos. You pushed it in every TV station across America while they had to sit there and deal with the crap for an entire month. Yet the birth of our nation, July 4th, only gets one day. Our veterans who fought for our freedom in this country only get one day. I'd even say it's more than that, because you have Black History Month, which, I mean, the argument there is because we had slaves, right? And, you know, it's important that, you know, have that so people can remember, and, you know, remember Black people's constitution there. Why the fuck do you have Pride Month? Like, in comparison to Black History, it really is nowhere close. It really is not. And it's weird, Black History Month, we don't celebrate it. Like, it's really not cared about, right? Pride Month, though, like, you better be. It's completely different. It's
Man, I hate to say it, but in the minds of many, like, what's one token, you know, virtue signal compared to another? I'm sure there's a lot of good intentioned people in between, but a lot of people are just like they're using this stuff. Like, I truly do not believe these companies would be virtue signaling as hard if it was not advantageous for them to do so. Businesses exist to make money.
true. I mean, it's not just the making money aspect of it. The thing is, people on the left will go like ape shit crazy, organizing campaigns to pressure businesses into siding with. And it's like you'll have 10 people, but they'll spam call, run bots, and make it look like it's much more than it is. But then you have other times where the corporation there's somebody working at the company who believes in them, and they fall in line to literally anything online. There's that one person who agreed to like pick something out because one person complained about it with a tweet that had like one.
Oh yeah, of course. You know how I got on YouTube in the first place is there was just a few people making these negative comments to conventions about a voice actor, and that was enough for them to not get thousands of dollars from the people who would have gone there to go see them, even though there was like literally no proof other than that there was an accusation. That was it. And this like gaggle of people was enough.
I mean, it is enough for them. That is one thing to understand. That is 100%.
And again, like that's why we can't have nice things. That's why we can't meet somewhere in the middle, because these people just will not. You know, they cannot tolerate other people existing contrary to them.
Yep. Fortunately, we've gotta figure something. It wasn't enough. You begin push. Oh, hold on. It wasn't enough. You pushed your ways into workplaces and demanded that anyone who disagrees with LGBT needs to be silenced and fired for just voicing their opinion. All for equality. It wasn't enough. You then forced your ways into the schools, silencing and shaming any opposition. Anyone said anything, even us gay people, we were all silenced, shamed, and even attacked at our workplace by getting us fired. It wasn't enough. You pushed your way through convincing society that children under the age of 18 transgender at the drop of the hat. They need access to hormone blockers and surgery. If people disagreed, they were bigots, transphobes, haters, evil. It wasn't enough. We now have trans people who transitioned at an early age and are now regretting decisions that have forever mutilated their bodies and their lives destroyed. Yet when they speak up, they were silenced too and called transphobes. Now, like, this shit here, like...
I mean, if that's happened, I've never heard about it, and that proves the point. Like I've never heard about this,
Wait,
but
somebody
it has to have been
detransitioning and
happening.
wait, someone detransitioning and complaining about what happened to their body?
Yeah, why isn't this all over the mainstream
Oh,
titles?
they fucking ignore. They do not
Yeah,
fucking care. It is no. It's true though. Like there, you can go to Reddit and find plenty of posts talking about this transition, or people that cut off their breast and they're just their lives are destroyed. They're going like, I used to have these beautiful breasts and they're gone now because I was convinced to get rid of them and they'll never come back. And they talk about like all the horrible things that happened to their body trying to do this because they were told by everybody that they were trans and they just believed it. Like it's the strangest thing to me, right? Because hear me out, okay? I remember there was a time growing up where we would tell girls it's okay if you like video games, computers, you like wearing boys' clothes, you're just a tomboy. It's okay. It doesn't matter, right? And then they would go to the boys and it would be like, guys, it's okay if you watch, like, was it Sailor Moon? Because that was the thing my sister liked watching, right? And I watched it too because she watched it, and you know what? I think that's actually that, and Pokemon was the first anime. and then Dragon Ball came up later. But now we sit there and say, well, if a boy is interested in that must mean that they're a girl. And if a girl, she wants to play video games like Call of Duty, then she's a boy. Like, we went from this argument where, look, girls can like boy things, boys can like girl things, people can like whatever they want. It doesn't mean anything, right? They're like toys aren't specifically just made for only boys. Girls can like it too. We went from that to literally arguing if a girl likes something that's traditionally a boy thing, it means that they must be a boy.
and what's crazy to me is that we have people transitioning from one to the other, but we don't even know what either is.
Oh yeah, that's the best part. When you ask them like why, okay, when it comes to like the puberty blockers, right? The puberty blockers are so that they don't go through male puberty and will look and appear and sound more feminine.
Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Because kind of like
because
Catch-22, but yet these people that they all get gathered up under an umbrella as a set of like victims. But if they didn't have a common enemy to be mad at, here's the thing: if they weren't told that there's these people out to get them, guess what happens? They start eating each other at a rapid rate. There's all these people who are like, they're like, watch out for the, evil straight white male, because they're obviously all out to get you, because that's what they do for having been born that way. It's just like, okay. So it'll be interesting to me if in my lifetime I get to see like how, if there's like enough of this hatred to the straight white male that people actually don't have anything left to be upset about, like the pendulum swings so far, and just like start watching these groups start eating each other because their existence and ideas are extremely adverse to one another, like women's rights with trans rights, trans with it just doesn't work together.
No, it doesn't work together until you realize that they know.
Just distract and be like, but look over here, yeah. Anyway, sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, you're good. Okay. It wasn't enough. Now you have transgender activists calling out gay men that if they don't want to accept trans men as men, that they're homophobic, even though by definition being gay means attracted to the same sex, not gender. Literally by definition. You called us homophobic, transphobic, and attempted to silence us. It wasn't enough. We now have drag queens reading to kids in libraries doing very sexual, erotic dances, exposing themselves. Yet you want to call that teaching equality. If anyone spoke up against it, again you call us transphobes, homophobes, and Nazis. It wasn't enough. Now we have teachers pushing LGBT ideology along with pornographic books and teaching about wild sex positions and calling it LGBT sex education. When we called it out, you called us Nazis, bigots, homophobes. Now we have more pride events with full nudity, very explicit actions being done in front of children. We have sex kink being brought into the mix in front of children. We have parents bringing their kids to pride, exposing them to this stuff. When we called it out, you screamed the same names: transphobes, homophobe, Nazi, and then some. We see what you were trying to do. You're normalizing pedophilia. Actually, look, I think that's 100% true. I saw way too many people on the left making statements about how nude kink at Pride in front of kids is totally okay. Articles were being written about them. Pedophiles.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to blend into this umbrella of acceptance, and I don't think most people are actually trying to do this normalization. I think that may kind of be a byproduct. I think what they're trying to do is gain clout and money and future voters, depending on who we're talking about.
Oh, like it's
Like it wasn't enough. Like now we have Christina Aguilera like stroking you know what
oh yeah, I
costume
saw
that she's
that.
wearing
Yeah, I
in
was
front
like,
of a bunch of children. Like, okay,
okay. Yeah, I
this
was
is
like,
what we've come to.
okay. Yeah, we failed as a society, all right. That was nuts. I was like, what is this? Oh gosh, I was gonna say the bad word.
Yeah, there's no way that man or woman or whatever, like that would be something that we valued as a society. But, it's crazy because sex is always sold, but now like it's just being sold younger and younger and younger to this person's point.
Oh yeah, I mean, it seems like that is the intention. What do you do? What do you do when the intention is normalizing this stuff in front of kids?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. You don't know what's safe, and you don't you pro- to homeschool your kid is a humongous sacrifice for you and them because kids need socialization. It is very tough. They're gonna be exposed to everything.
Let me get this tip and I'll finish up statement here. Did you have anything for the tip? The whole corporation agreeing with the nonsense reminds me of the Family Guy FCC episode. Remember, one phone call complaining is a billion people, so you get 20 calls means there's 20 billion pissed off morons in the world. yeah, I remember that shit. However, myself and many other sane LGBT peeps are calling you assholes out. We're not going to let you do it. You're destroying equality for us. So we're going to make your lives miserable. You're not going to touch kids. You're not going to keep this going. It's ending now. We'll call you out, expose you all to the world. Start feeling that anger and hate flow toward you. Calling us homophobe, transphobe, it is no longer going to work. You played your card too long and it ends. You only have yourself to blame because it wasn't enough for you. It won't be enough for us until every single one of you are brought to some sort of justice. You're pedophiles. You are the monsters in the shadow wanting to get close to any kid around. You want to pervert them so you can normalize grooming them. Nope, not anymore. Get ready because we're coming for you. And we're bringing hell with us just for you. There's no more discussion, no more reasoning, no more anything. You brought this on you all because it wasn't enough. Sincerely, the LGBT community who just want equality. That's the full statement. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was well written. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I personally just liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked all but the last few paragraphs, right? Because again, it's just this dynamic world we live in, and it's kind of like summing up all these people with all their different, motives coming into this. But the rest of it, like I get what they're going for.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, that is it for the stream tonight, BP.
Well, hey, thanks for letting me come on. Sorry if I scared anybody away.
No, man, you're good. I appreciate it. I really do. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta do something before we head out for the night. One final thing. There we go. Ba-da-da-da. The alternate channel is up to 629 subscribers now, guys. If you want to watch us covering more pop culture stuff like the Ezra Miller case, Amber Heard, movies, we'll be doing that over on Comic Crow now. Yellow Flash gave us a little bit of a shout out. We got like a nice little off of it. So I gotta go record some videos for tomorrow. Gotta get my ass back to work. It's fun building up another channel. This one's not gonna be monetized anymore. I'm probably gonna cover more subjects on here, a little bit more controversial, because I don't really have to worry about the yellow mark anymore. It's always gonna be gone. I'll just have to wait until I can get this one up and running.
Yeah, sweet. Definitely subscribe. Go watch the videos. Even if you're not going to watch them, if you want to do Crow a favor, just watch them and get the minutes in. Get this monetized quickly.
Yeah, guys, do me a favor. Just click on the Ezra Miller playlist, put it on mute, and just play it before you go to bed. All right, guys.
Interesting experiment. See where you wake up.
All right. Let's get out of here, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in.